Australia has done a U-turn. They had previously cut funding for the Invictus Games, but now veteran backlash has forced them to bring it back.
Harry's heartbreak as the showbiz elite dump the Sussexes.
I think that will be the beginning of the end for Meghan as a public figure, because this is a man that she's abandoned. Just awful. It will be shame on you, Meghan.
A massive petition is reportedly sending shockwaves through royal circles, and according to online commentators, it could change everything for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's connection to the Invictus Games. Social media exploded after discussions about petitions and growing public pressure surrounding Harry's role at Invictus began circulating once again. Similar petitions questioning aspects of Harry's involvement with the Games have appeared in recent years, drawing significant online attention and debate. Now royal watchers are asking a dramatic question. Could growing public pressure create a new challenge for Harry's most important project? Because unlike many royal controversies, Invictus is deeply personal to Harry. The Games were founded to support wounded, injured, and sick service personnel and veterans, and they remain one of the causes most closely associated with him. That's why the latest petition controversy has generated such intense reactions. Supporters argue that Harry's commitment to veterans through Invictus is undeniable. Critics argue that public concerns deserve to be heard. Meanwhile, Meghan's involvement with Invictus continues attracting enormous attention whenever she appears alongside Harry at Games events. And according to commentators, the real story may not be the petition itself. It may be what the growing debate reveals about public opinion, the future of Invictus, and the enormous spotlight that continues following Harry and Meghan everywhere they go. Because if recent reactions are any indication, this controversy is only getting started. The latest controversy surrounding Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the Invictus Games began with something that has become increasingly powerful in the modern digital age: a petition. At first, many people assumed it would attract only limited attention. After all, online petitions appear every day. Most generate a few headlines before quickly fading away. But according to commentators, this situation was different. Very different. Because the petition touched on one of the most emotional topics connected to Prince Harry: Invictus. And whenever Invictus becomes part of a public controversy, reactions tend to be intense. That's exactly what happened here. Within hours, social media platforms were flooded with discussions. Supporters rushed to defend Harry. Critics began sharing their concerns. Royal commentators started publishing analysis videos. And before long, a conversation that began online had become one of the biggest Sussex-related debates of the week. Then came the reason for the strong reaction. Unlike many projects associated with public figures, the Invictus Games are deeply connected to Harry's personal legacy. For years, supporters have pointed to Invictus as one of his most important achievements. An initiative designed to support wounded, injured, and sick service personnel. A project that has earned praise from veterans around the world. That's why any controversy involving Invictus immediately attracts attention. People care about it. A lot. Then another fascinating development emerged. Many observers noticed that the discussion quickly expanded beyond the petition itself. Instead of focusing solely on the specific demands being made, people started debating broader questions. Questions about public perception. Questions about Harry's role. Questions about Meghan's involvement. Questions about the future direction of the Games. That's when the controversy really started growing. Then attention shifted toward Meghan Markle. Because whenever Meghan appears alongside Harry at Invictus events, reactions are often divided. Supporters argue that she is supporting her husband and helping promote an important cause. Critics argue that media attention surrounding Meghan sometimes overshadows the athletes and veterans the Games are designed to celebrate. Whether that criticism is fair remains heavily debated. But it has become a recurring topic whenever Invictus enters the headlines. That's why the petition immediately reignited old arguments. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. The debate was no longer just about Invictus. It had become another chapter in the larger discussion surrounding Harry and Meghan's public image. Supporters saw the petition as unfair criticism. Critics saw it as a reflection of growing public frustration. Neutral observers simply wanted to understand why the controversy had become so emotional. And according to commentators, that emotional reaction revealed just how significant Invictus remains within the Sussex story. Then came perhaps the most surprising part of all. Many people who normally disagree about Harry and Meghan shared the same concern: protecting the mission of the games. Because regardless of personal opinions about the Sussexes, many observers believe the athletes and veterans should remain the central focus. That's why the petition generated such strong reactions. People weren't simply debating Harry. They were debating the future of something many consider important. Then another question began spreading across social media. Could the growing pressure actually influence future Invictus discussions? Could it affect public perception? Could it create challenges for Harry moving forward? Nobody seemed to know. But according to royal insiders, those questions were exactly why the controversy continued gaining momentum. Because once public debate reaches this level, the conversation rarely ends quickly. And according to commentators, the next development may be even more significant. Because some observers believe the petition is revealing a much larger divide among royal fans than anyone expected. As news of the petition continued spreading online, it quickly became clear that this wasn't simply another social media controversy. It had become a battle over perception. And according to commentators, that's exactly why reactions have been so intense. Because few projects are more closely associated with Prince Harry than the Invictus Games. For many supporters, Harry and Invictus are inseparable. The Games represent one of his greatest achievements. A project that has positively impacted thousands of veterans and military families around the world. That's why many supporters immediately pushed back against criticism. According to them, Harry's commitment to Invictus speaks for itself. Years of dedication. Years of advocacy. Years of promoting the athletes and veterans participating in the Games. From their perspective, the petition ignores those contributions. Then came the opposing viewpoint. Critics argued that public figures connected to major organizations will always face scrutiny. According to them, questions about leadership, visibility, and public perception are inevitable. Especially when global media attention is involved. That's why the debate became so divided. Because both sides believed they were defending something important. Then attention shifted toward Meghan Markle. And that's where the controversy became even more complicated. Because whenever Meghan appears at Invictus-related events, public reactions tend to split almost immediately. Supporters argue she is simply supporting her husband and promoting a worthy cause. Critics argue that media coverage often becomes focused on Harry and Meghan rather than the competitors themselves. Whether that criticism is fair remains highly contested. But according to observers, it has become one of the central arguments within the current debate. Then another fascinating reality emerged. Many people discussing the petition weren't really talking about Invictus at all. They were talking about Harry and Meghan. Their public image. Their popularity. Their relationship with different audiences. In other words, the petition became a symbol of a much larger discussion. That's why emotions escalated so quickly. Then came another important observation. The Invictus Games occupy a unique position within the Sussex story. Unlike media projects or commercial ventures, Invictus is widely viewed as mission-driven. It's connected to veterans, service, recovery, resilience. That's why many people feel especially protective of it. And that's why any controversy involving the games tends to generate stronger reactions than other Sussex headlines. Then another question started dominating social media. Could growing public pressure eventually influence how Invictus is presented moving forward? Some commentators believe public debates can shape perception. Others argue the games are much bigger than online controversies. According to supporters of Invictus, the athletes remain the heart of the event regardless of what critics or supporters say online. That's an argument that has gained significant support. Then came perhaps the biggest realization of all. The petition revealed how divided public opinion remains when it comes to Harry and Meghan. Supporters see service. Critics see controversy. Supporters see dedication. Critics see distraction. And because both sides view the situation differently, agreement remains unlikely. That's why the conversation continues growing. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. The controversy is no longer just about a petition. It's about the future. The future of Harry's public role. The future of Meghan's involvement. And the future relationship between the Sussexes, and one of the most important projects in Harry's life. According to royal commentators, that's why this debate matters. Because some observers believe the petition may be exposing deeper concerns that have been building for years. And if that's true, the next phase of the controversy could be even more dramatic. As the petition controversy continued gaining momentum, another question started spreading through royal circles. What if this debate isn't really about Prince Harry at all? What if it's about the future direction of the Invictus Games themselves? According to commentators, that's a possibility more people are beginning to discuss. Because while headlines continue focusing on Harry and Meghan Markle, some observers believe a much larger conversation is taking place behind the scenes. A conversation about identity. A conversation about visibility. And a conversation about what Invictus should look like in the years ahead. That's why the petition generated such strong reactions. Then came another fascinating observation. The Invictus Games have grown enormously since their launch. What started as a groundbreaking initiative has evolved into a globally recognized event. Athletes from multiple countries participate. International media cover the Games. Millions of people follow the stories of veterans overcoming extraordinary challenges. According to supporters, that success speaks for itself. But critics argue that growth often brings new challenges. New expectations, new debates, and new questions about the future. That's where the controversy becomes more complicated. Then attention shifted toward public perception. Because according to analysts, perception can become just as important as reality. Supporters believe Harry remains one of the strongest ambassadors Invictus could possibly have. Critics argue that ongoing controversies surrounding the Sussexes sometimes distract from the mission. Whether that criticism is fair remains heavily debated. But the debate itself continues growing. Then another interesting theory emerged. Some commentators believe the petition reflects broader changes in how people view public figures connected to major charitable organizations. Years ago, celebrity involvement was often viewed almost entirely as a positive. Today, audiences ask more questions. They analyze more closely. They scrutinize more intensely. That's why some observers believe the Invictus discussion reflects larger cultural changes rather than a single controversy. Then came another reality. Many veterans and supporters continue emphasizing the same point. The athletes should remain the focus. Not politicians. Not celebrities. Not online arguments. The athletes. According to supporters of this view, that's the principle that has always made Invictus special. And it's the principle they want protected moving forward. That's why emotions remain so strong. Because many people genuinely care about the future of the Games. Then attention returned to Meghan Markle. because some commentators believe her growing visibility at Invictus events has become part of the larger discussion. Supporters see a supportive spouse standing beside her husband. Critics see media attention shifting away from competitors. Both interpretations continue fueling debate. And according to observers, that's one reason the petition controversy has remained so persistent. Then came perhaps the most surprising realization of all. Many people discussing the future of Invictus aren't necessarily taking sides. They are simply asking questions. Questions about visibility. Questions about priorities. Questions about how the games can continue evolving while preserving their original mission. Those questions have no easy answers. But they are increasingly becoming part of the conversation. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. The petition may eventually fade. The headlines may eventually fade. The social media debates may eventually fade. But the larger questions probably won't. Because as Invictus continues growing, discussions about its future are likely to continue as well. That's why some observers believe the games may be entering a completely new era. An era where public scrutiny becomes even greater. An era where expectations become even higher. And an era where every decision receives more attention than ever before. According to royal commentators, that's exactly why this story matters. Because the next stage of the debate may not focus on the petition at all. It may focus on something much bigger. The long-term future of Harry's most important legacy project. As the petition controversy continued gaining attention, many royal watchers began asking a much bigger question. Could this become the most significant public relations challenge Prince Harry has faced in connection with the Invictus Games in years? According to commentators, that's exactly why the story continues growing. Because unlike many controversies surrounding Harry and Meghan Markle, this one touches something uniquely important. His legacy. For years, supporters have pointed to Invictus as Harry's most widely respected achievement. An initiative that transcended politics, transcended royal drama, and focused entirely on supporting wounded and injured service members. That's why many observers were surprised to see Invictus become the center of such an intense debate. Then came another important realization. The petition itself may not be the biggest issue. The conversation surrounding it may be. Because according to analysts, public debates often become more influential than the original event that sparked them. People begin discussing broader concerns, broader frustrations, broader questions. And that's exactly what appears to be happening here. Then attention shifted toward public perception. Because perception can be powerful. Very powerful. Supporters argue that Harry's commitment to veterans has been demonstrated repeatedly through years of work with Invictus. Critics argue that increasing controversy surrounding the Sussexes inevitably affects how associated projects are viewed. That's why the debate remains so divided. Different people are looking at the same situation and reaching completely different conclusions. Then another fascinating development emerged. Many royal commentators pointed out that Harry now operates in a very different environment than he did when Invictus first launched. Back then, he was a working royal. Today, he is a global celebrity operating outside the traditional royal structure. That change has altered public expectations, altered media coverage, and according to observers, altered the way people interpret controversies. That's why some believe the current debate feels different. Then came another theory gaining traction online. Some observers believe the petition reflects growing fatigue among certain audiences. Not necessarily with Invictus, but with the constant controversies that seem to surround Harry and Meghan. According to this theory, Invictus has simply become the latest stage where those broader frustrations are being expressed. Supporters strongly reject that interpretation. But the theory continues circulating. Then attention returned once again to Meghan. Because many critics argue that discussions about Harry and Meghan frequently overshadow discussions about Invictus itself. Supporters disagree. They argue that media organizations choose what stories to emphasize. Not Harry. Not Meghan. Yet the debate persists. And according to commentators, that debate may be one reason the petition attracted so much attention. Then came perhaps the most revealing observation of all. Even many people defending Harry acknowledge that perception matters. Public trust matters. Public confidence matters. And maintaining focus on veterans matters. That's why supporters believe the best response to criticism is continuing to highlight the athletes and their achievements. Not engaging in endless online arguments. That's a position that appears to be gaining support. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. The controversy has created a challenge regardless of whether the petition succeeds or fails. Because once questions begin circulating publicly, they often continue generating discussion long after the original story fades. That's exactly why some observers believe this may be Harry's biggest Invictus challenge in years. Not because of immediate consequences, but because of the long-term conversation it has created. Then came the question now dominating royal discussions. If public scrutiny continues increasing, how will Harry and Invictus respond moving forward? According to insiders, the answer could determine how this entire controversy is remembered. And some believe the next phase of the story could be the most dramatic yet. As the petition continued generating headlines, something unexpected began happening. Instead of weakening support for Prince Harry's role at the Invictus Games, some observers believe the controversy may have produced the exact opposite effect. According to commentators, the reaction from many supporters has been stronger than anyone anticipated. That's why some royal insiders are now asking a surprising question. Did the petition accidentally strengthen Harry's position instead of undermining it? The theory has gained significant traction online. Then came another fascinating development. As criticism increased, many supporters began sharing reminders of Harry's long history with Invictus. The launch of the Games. The stories of participating athletes. The international growth of the event. The countless veterans whose lives have been impacted through competition and community. According to supporters, those achievements deserve to remain at the center of the conversation. Not online controversy. Not royal drama. The mission itself. That's the message many defenders started promoting. Then attention shifted toward public response. Because while critics were discussing the petition, supporters were discussing results. Results they believe demonstrate the success of the Games. Stories of resilience. Stories of recovery. Stories of inspiration. That's why some commentators believe the controversy unintentionally encouraged many people to revisit what Invictus actually represents. And according to supporters, that renewed attention may have helped the organization more than it hurt it. Then came another reality. Many people who are not particularly interested in royal controversies became involved in the discussion for one reason. Veterans. The athletes. The competitors. According to observers, those individuals remain widely respected across different audiences. That's why many supporters believe attempts to create controversy around Invictus often face a difficult challenge. People genuinely admire the athletes. And admiration for the athletes frequently outweighs political or celebrity disagreements. Then another interesting theory emerged. Some commentators believe the petition highlighted a major disconnect between social media discussions and real-world support. Online conversations can appear enormous, but they don't always reflect broader public opinion. That's an argument many Invictus supporters have embraced. According to them, the loudest voices online are not necessarily the most representative voices overall. Whether that theory is correct remains debated. but it has become a major part of the conversation. Then attention returned to Meghan Markle. Because despite ongoing criticism, some observers believe the controversy has also strengthened support among people who view attacks on Harry and Meghan as unfair. According to this perspective, every new controversy motivates supporters to defend the couple more aggressively. That's why reactions have become increasingly polarized. Each side believes the other is proving its point. Then came perhaps the most surprising observation of all. The longer the controversy continued, the less people seemed to be discussing the petition itself. Instead, they were discussing Harry's legacy, Invictus, veterans, public perception, and the future of the games. In other words, the conversation expanded far beyond the original petition. That's why some insiders believe the effort may have backfired. Because instead of creating a narrow debate, it created a much larger discussion about Harry's achievements through Invictus. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. The petition may eventually disappear from headlines. Most petitions do. But the renewed attention surrounding Invictus could remain. And according to supporters, that's a development they welcome. Because every new discussion creates another opportunity to highlight the athletes. Then came the biggest question of all. If the controversy ultimately strengthens support for Harry's work with Invictus, what happens next? According to royal commentators, the answer could reshape the entire narrative surrounding this story. Because some observers now believe the final outcome may look very different from what critics originally expected. After weeks of debate, social media arguments, reaction videos, and endless royal commentary, many observers believe the petition controversy has revealed something far bigger than anyone initially expected. It revealed how important the Invictus Games remain to Prince Harry's public legacy. Because despite the criticism, despite the controversy, and despite the heated online debate, one reality continues standing out above everything else. Invictus remains one of the projects most closely associated with Harry around the world. That's why reactions became so emotional. Supporters viewed criticism of Invictus as criticism of one of Harry's most meaningful accomplishments. Critics viewed the petition as an opportunity to raise concerns they believed deserved discussion. And according to commentators, that clash of perspectives is exactly what fueled the controversy. Then came another important realization. The petition itself may eventually be forgotten. Most online campaigns fade with time. Headlines move on. New controversies emerge. Public attention shifts elsewhere. But according to many observers, the broader conversation created by the petition could last much longer. Because it forced people to revisit an important question. What does Invictus represent? For supporters, the answer remains simple. Service, recovery, resilience, and the achievements of wounded veterans who continue inspiring millions around the world. That's why many supporters believe the Games remain bigger than any individual controversy. Then attention shifted toward Harry himself. Because according to analysts, the controversy highlighted a fascinating reality. No matter how divided public opinion may be regarding Harry and Meghan Markle, Invictus continues occupying a unique place in public discussions. Even critics often acknowledge the positive impact the Games have had on participating athletes. Even supporters who disagree on other issues frequently unite around the mission of helping veterans. That's a rare achievement. And according to commentators, it's one reason Harry's connection to Invictus remains so significant. Then came another fascinating observation. Many people entered the debate expecting a conversation about Harry and Meghan. Instead, they found themselves discussing veterans, competitors, recovery stories, and the broader purpose of the Games. According to some observers, that's why the controversy may ultimately strengthen Invictus rather than weaken it. Because renewed attention often creates renewed awareness. Then another reality became impossible to ignore. The strongest voices throughout the controversy frequently returned to the same message. Keep the focus on the athletes. Keep the focus on the veterans. Keep the focus on the mission. According to supporters, that's the principle that made Invictus successful in the first place. And it's the principle they believe should guide its future. Then came perhaps the biggest lesson of all. The petition exposed how deeply people care about Invictus. Supporters care. Critics care. Veterans care. Royal watchers care. And according to analysts, organizations rarely inspire passionate debate unless they genuinely matter to people. That's why some observers believe the controversy revealed strength rather than weakness. Because people don't fight over things they consider irrelevant. They fight over things they consider important. Then attention returned one final time to the future. Because regardless of where people stand on the petition, one question remains. What happens next? According to many royal commentators, the answer is likely straightforward. The games continue. The athletes continue competing. The stories continue inspiring. And public attention eventually shifts back toward the mission itself. That's why some insiders believe Harry may ultimately emerge from this controversy in a stronger position than many expected. Not because everyone suddenly agrees with him. Not because criticism disappears. But because the discussion reminded people of the project that remains central to his public legacy. Then came the final verdict. The petition may have created headlines. The controversy may have created debate. The arguments may have divided opinion. But according to many observers, the lasting story is likely to be Invictus itself. Its athletes. Its mission. And its continued impact on veterans around the world. Because long after petitions fade and controversies disappear, that legacy remains. And according to supporters, that's exactly why Harry's connection to Invictus continues to matter. What do you think? Did the petition reveal genuine public concerns, or did it ultimately strengthen support for Prince Harry and the Invictus Games? Should Meghan Markle continue playing a visible role at Invictus events? And do you believe Harry's Invictus legacy will remain his most important achievement for years to come? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more updates on Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Invictus Games, King Charles, and all the latest royal family developments.